President Trump is taking another swing at birthright citizenship, 2 months after the Supreme Court struck down his first attempt.
We had a very unfortunate decision in the Supreme Court concerning birthright. People are building businesses around it. From wealthy people are building businesses around birthright citizenship. That's not the way it's supposed to work.
Trump signed 2 executive orders Thursday. Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, the architect of Trump's immigration policy, explained who will be ineligible for citizenship at birth.
Members of foreign terrorist organizations and large categories of people who lobby and act on behalf of foreign governments.
The second executive order signed by Trump targets so-called birth tourism.
The idea that people come here pretending to be a tourist, pretending to be a visitor, saying they want to go to Disneyland, they want to go visit a monument or go to a national park, but the real reason they're here is to have a child, to make that child an automatic citizen. So that practice of birth tourism is, as of the signing of this order, hereby banned.
The new orders are far more narrow than Trump's first try at tackling the issue, when he sought to end citizenship for children of undocumented immigrants and temporary visa holders. The Supreme Court rejected that in June, citing the 14th Amendment, which grants citizenship to anyone born on American soil. Now, the ACLU believes Trump's new executive orders are doomed to fail in court, saying, quote, any executive order that tries to rewrite birthright citizenship will meet the same fate as the last one.
Donald Trump just signed a brand new executive order to gut birthright citizenship. There's only one problem. The Supreme Court already killed his last attempt at this just 2 months ago. So he's signing an order that, by most legal accounts, is dead on arrival. And while he stages this fight in the Oval Office, out in the real world, his own voters are turning on him as the crackdown he promised starts swallowing their families too. This is a story about a policy that can't survive a courtroom, and the people paying the price anyway. While the order gets signed for the cameras, this is what the crackdown looks like on the ground. Meet John Gannon, 75 years old, a Texas businessman, a lifelong Republican who voted for Donald Trump. Last month, his fiancée was detained by ICE at the Houston airport. 8 agents, he says, surrounded. Now let's be precise about her situation, because accuracy matters here. According to her attorney, she came to the United States legally on the visa waiver program. She later applied for asylum, a case that is still pending, and she has no criminal record. Her permission to stay had lapsed. So this is a genuine legal gray area, not a cartoon. But that's exactly Gannon's, and that's the thing that should worry the White House most. This isn't a protester. This is their own guy, a lifelong Republican, telling a national news crew that if he could ask Trump one question, it would be, what are you doing? Go after the criminals, we're all for that, but leave the families alone. When the people who vote. Now, in fairness, here is the other side, and it's a real argument. The Department of Homeland Security says she entered on a visa waiver, overstayed when it expired, and that a pending application does not by itself give you legal status. They say her case will be heard by an immigration judge with full due process, and that the administration is simply, in their words, not going to ignore the rule of law. And on the executive orders, the White House. So here are the questions I keep circling. 1. If this order can't survive the Supreme Court, and the last one didn't, is it actually policy, or is it just a show for a rally? 2. How many people with clean records and pending cases are getting swept up if even a lifelong Republican's fiancé ends up in detention? And 3. How many more I didn't vote for? Here's why all of this matters beyond one order and one couple. Birthright citizenship isn't a policy preference you can rewrite with a signature. It's in the Constitution, and it's been settled for well over 100 years. So an executive order can't erase it, which means the real function of this order isn't law, it's message. It tells the base something is being done. And in the meantime, the enforcement machine keeps running. Opinion, clearly labeled as opinion. Here's my read. I don't think this executive order is meant to win in court. I think everyone signing it knows it won't. It's meant to look tough for a news cycle. But policy has consequences even when it's theater, and the consequences are landing on people like John Gannon, who did exactly what he was asked and voted for it. When you order the courts already rejected, a voter who wants his vote back. That's where we are this week. The legal fight over this will play out for months, and we're going to follow every ruling. If you want to keep tracking it with clear eyes and real sources, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves out there. And here's the consistency problem that this whole crusade keeps running into. The original push, the one the court struck down, rested on the idea that being born here shouldn't make you a citizen if your parents weren't. Apply that standard honestly, and it reaches further than Miller may want. The president's first 3 children were born while their mother was not yet a citizen. His youngest son. Now look closer at that new category, people who, quote, lobby or act on behalf of foreign governments. That is remarkably broad and remarkably vague. Who decides what counts? Under a definition that elastic, a lot of people could be swept in depending on who's holding the pen. A democratic This is the part that makes the whole thing almost surreal. On day 1 of this term, Trump signed an order trying to end birthright citizenship outright. And this year, the Supreme Court struck it down, pointing at the 14th Amendment, which says plainly that people born on American soil.
Supported President Trump in 2024.
I wouldn't do that again. Not after this fiasco.
His fiancée, 45-year-old Venezuelan immigrant Yasmin Suarez-Reyes, was detained by ICE at George Bush Intercontinental Airport in Houston in late July.
8 ICE agents swarmed Jasmine and detained her, didn't tell us why, and rustled her off into a car.
Here's what he actually signed. 2 executive orders. One targets so-called birth tourism. The other, in Stephen Miller's own words, expands the categories of people whose kids would be denied birthright citizenship, including, and I'm quoting the criteria here, people who lobby or act on behalf of foreign governments. Miller is the architect of this. He has been chasing the end of birthright citizenship for a decade.
Go back, you can read the congressional debates. This is not something that's even seriously contested by anybody. The president is using his authority as commander-in-chief to sign first an executive order using the new ruling the Supreme Court issued to expand the definitions of people who are ineligible for birthright citizenship. That includes, for example, alien enemies of the United States, members of foreign terrorist organizations, and large categories of people who lobby and act on behalf of foreign governments.